Hello and welcome everybody back to the League of Europe for Division number 4 here for round number 12. Coming back from the break week to a historic circuit on the Formula 1 calendar. We're heading to Monza in Italy for all 11 corners of the Monza circuit. As I said, absolutely historic, but it's going to be very difficult for the drivers to make all 27 laps here tonight. But in the commentary booth to take us through this race with me, it's myself, QVR Packer, and alongside me once again is Ariel Nolan. How's it going, Jack?
Yeah, it's going decent. Cheeky little break week. Come back to the worst track on the whole calendar, so I'm very excited to DNF lap 3 or so.
Yeah, well, it's as I said, it's going to be a very difficult race. The track has changed very much so since we've last come here in the League of Europe, especially curbs at turn 1, turn 2. I don't think it's changed very much, but it's still very difficult.
Turn 4,
turn 3,
five,
turn 4,
6,
yeah, almost every corner. Yeah, most of the corners out of the 11 here at Monza are very difficult to get right, and you have to be quite... I'd say accurate, or, what's the word for it? Well, I'll just say accurate with your turn in to get, well, the fast lap time around here and to be quick here. So let's see who is able to survive this one. Only 15 drivers here in the lobby, unfortunately, here for tonight's race. But I'm sure we can get some pretty decent action. Just heading back to last season, we saw the two championship contenders crash into each other in Forza Brendan and Calvin. So hopefully we get something more like that.
I will point out that in the practice session that Relentless just had before we got done to commentary, at turn 1, Calvin and Brendan took each other out and ended up 20 seconds behind.
That's good for a certain QVR chill in Division 3, hopefully. But, yeah, hopefully we can get some more action like that. No one has left the pits quite yet for qualifying here. Obviously, short qualifying session before we head into a 50% race here at League of Europe. And Jess is saying there's going to be a dry race, or dry quali and a wet race. So that is going to shake up a few things.
A wet race at Monza. I can't think of anything worse. I genuinely, maybe wet Singapore. That's probably Monza's the next worst one. Especially with these curbs now as well. That's going to be disgusting. And you'd think with only 15 drivers, and obviously in League of Europe, if you've not seen before, top 12 get points. Just keeping it on track, I think, would probably guarantee you a point this race.
Yeah, just having a Monza race on Monday, it was terrible. I'm going to be honest. It was probably one of the worst things that I've ever done. So it's not going to be fun, but it's going to be whoever can survive is probably going to get a pretty decent top 7 result, I would say. So if you can keep it on the track, you're going to score pretty decent points no matter what. No matter, even if we had 20 drivers, it's going to be very easy. Well, not easy, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens in this one. Sumcon in the pit lane has selected the medium tires, which is an interesting decision there, considering it is going to be a wet race. Maybe it will dry up.
8 tenths difference as well, so I don't. It's hard to get in the top 10 anyway, even if it was a dry race.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what will happen there. But MCR currently is going to be the first driver out on a lap, and then it's going to be Iverbryn Mike. And then McDutchface, the next two are out on track, just heading through the Della Raggia chicane at turns 4 and 5. But yeah, MCR is going to be the first driver to start a lap. But why don't you take us through his first hot lap?
Oh God, yeah, okay. I don't know the corner names, so we're going to call them 1, 2, 3, etc. I'll tell you what, a good rundown to this as well is going to be setups, as we're going to see certain drivers now as he starts his lap. Different setups on this track. He's going to take an inside line. I can't do this corner, by the way. I've bunny hopped over this so much, as he has done the exact same on both of these sideways, and he's run. That's a lap of Monza, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. That's basically the curbs, isn't it? That's basically a good showcase of the update, because normally you'd be able to go straight over those curbs.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult for some drivers, but next driver, starting a lap, just heading down the pit straight into the Redifilio chicane is Iverbryn Mike, just breaking into the first corner here. You want to avoid that orange curb, but you can use the red, green, and white curbs. Conveniently, the Italian flag colors as well. But Iverbryn Mike now heading through Curva Grande. There is a different name for turn 3, but I'm not entirely sure what it is, so we're just going to go with the classic Curva Grande. Now through the first sector to 26.604. I'm sure he'll be wanting to go a little bit faster than that. Noah J getting off. Getting out of the way in the gravel there, but now into Lesmo 1, turn 6, carrying a decent amount of speed, going down to 4th gear just to get the car turned in, and into Lesmo 2, down to 4th gear to get the car turned once again, and a pretty decent traction for the McLaren driver as he heads down towards the middle sector split and towards the Ascari chicane. Let's see what he's going to be through the middle sector. 53.944, turning into Ascari there. Looked pretty decent, but invalidates on the second part. I've done that way too many times, as MCR sets his lap at 29.2. That's not exactly where you want to be. So with Iverbryn Mike invalidating, let's go to McDutchface, who is not invalid yet, and is heading up towards the final corner.
Yeah, well, 29.2. It is pole, so... Standard there already, 9 seconds off the pace. McDutchface, you'd think if he's kept the lap clean, he'll probably beat that, which he will, a 21.2, which we'd expect will be beaten by quite a lot. But I guess with Division 4, I would say maybe mid to low 20s.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
This track's going to be a lot of the calendar, I will admit, is very, very pad. It always has been. It's the way that the game has been, which causes it's a whole debate in itself. This is one of those very few tracks where we will see the wheel drivers have a lot more confidence and carry a lot more speed through corners. There's a 20.7 already by Gallagher. I think that's his bank lap, and he's on for a good one by Ben Gallagher there. We've not seen near the top that much.
Yeah, he's been there or thereabouts mostly. I know Austria, he had a decent race, but got into quite a few incidents, and eventually I want to say he spun in that one. And then the race after, I think he picked up a 3rd place. I want to say that was Hungary. So he's not done much besides that, but I mean, he's shown the pace. He was in Division 3 for a little bit before getting moved down, as Noah J invalidates through Ascari. I'd also like to point out that we have a returning driver here in Division 4 who played a pretty big part in the last time we raced at Monza. We have Goldie back in here in Division 4.
So nobody cross any white lines, because Goldie will report you. You best be on your best behaviour, because the stewards are going to be busy this week.
Yeah, Goldie known to report almost everything he's seen as that is seen as wrongdoing. So let's see what he could do here back at his first race in season number 6. But we also have championship leader Alt Maverick coming through the final corner, through Curva Alvarado or Parabolica, either one you really want to go with. But coming across the line for his first lap, it's 20.5, so it's not bad. But I'm sure most drivers will be looking to improve on that, and I'm sure Alt Maverick will be looking to go a little bit faster than that. But we have Goldie now crossing the line at the 21.3, and that puts himself into P5s for the time being. We have Major Falcon heading through the middle sector. I think he's going to be the next driver to finish a lap. Let's see what the Alpine driver can do. 53.7, that's about 2/10 faster than what Iverbryn Mike did through the middle sector split, but really ruins the exit of Ascari there. So I don't think he's going to be, he might be looking for a front row, but I think it's going to be 3rd place as he only has one corner left to go.
Yeah, overall,
7th gear, interesting.
Times are a lot faster than I thought they'd be early on. Very, very close to the higher divisions, actually. I'd expect a 20.5. I thought that'd be like pole, but have we seen that already? Maybe. Are we going to dip into the 19s? Surely not.
I mean, unless Ryan B can pull something out of the bag, or maybe Marty as well. He's known to have some pretty decent qualifyings, as Ryan B is heading through the middle sector with a slight tow from Goldie in front. So this is a little bit interesting. Ryan B is on a lap. Goldie gets out of the way at the very end of the straight, so I'm sure Alt Maverick might be having a stern conversation with said Goldie, but Ryan B invalidates there on the exit of Ascari, doing well to avoid the curves, but now his teammate Ariel George is heading through the middle sector as Marty comes across the line. It's a 120.463, so Marty might have something to say about that pole position lap.
Yeah, Marty, a driver that we have noticed has really just found some form recently. I think at the start, didn't we? We said he's been one of probably the most unlucky drivers in LOE. So he's been right near the front for most of the races. Something went wrong every single time. But Marty, I think it was at Portugal when things just suddenly turned around for him. He's got 2 wins in a row now. 50 points out of 54, is it? You get 2 for fastest lap or 1?
Yep. You get 1.
Oh, so it's 50 out of 52 points he's got. Overall, if he can get this as well, which he looks like he's fast, off first instinct. We were saying how he could start to play a part in the championship fight between Ryan and Maverick, and having your teammate up front with you, as we see in real F1, it's worked for Mercedes for years, and that's been the issue with like Red Bull, how they've not had two drivers at the front. Having Marty with him could really benefit Maverick come the end of the season.
Yeah, it definitely could, as well as looking to Killer Instincts. He's predicted Marty for a third win in a row. What would be the only driver to win 3 in a row here in League of Europe this season in any division. So, looking to hopefully capitalize on a strong run of form. He's jumped himself all the way up into 7th in the championship standings with 60 points. So obviously 10 besides those 2 race victories, and he's in 7th right now. And he could. If he has a strong performance here, he could jump all the way up to 5th as well and get right onto the back of Major Falcon Kamke, who are on 116 and 110 points respectively. So he could be looking for a strong end to this, well, I guess, second half of the season, really.
Yeah, this seems to be a thing with Division 4, doesn't it? We saw it. Remember, it started with Ryan back when he had a terrible start to the season, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere just starts stringing wins. I did it the season after, but was cheated out of a championship, which I'll stand by. And then every single time in D4, there seems to be a driver halfway through the season decides to just start dominating. And if we see this from Martin now, I'd love to see him just pick up like 2 more wins in a row. And questions will be asked as to whether or not he could possibly push to get into that top 2. It's a very far reach, don't get me wrong. But if he's finishing at the front all the time, that means Maverick and Ryan aren't.
Yeah, exactly. So if he's able to close up to those guys, we still have 6 races left here, including this one, obviously. We have Monza this week, we have Imola next week, and then Mexico, Azerbaijan, Japan, and then Brazil. 6 races all in a row to round out the season of 17 races. So it's gonna be interesting to see what Marty can do if he can keep up that form up towards the end of the season. Slump Khan comes across the line on 120.988. For the Williams driver, I think someone just started a lap. It was Goldie who just started a lap. A Mercedes just crossing the line. I think that's Brian B starting his flying lap, as well as Ryan coming into Parabolica. And then Iverbird Mike, I think, is going to be the next one across the line. But yeah, Marty could be looking for a strong end of the season here, and should be able to put himself up into the top 5 if he can keep anywhere near this type of form.
Yeah, one thing I will say for the rest of the championship, when you compare how well they're doing, so Maverick's currently in the lead by 2 points over Ryan after Ryan had a very disappointing race last week, 2 weeks ago now at Belgium. I'd say most of the season so far has been pad. I think wheel drivers have struggled more than the pad drivers based off what the calendar's been like. And now we're getting to the end where I'd say about 4 of the last 6 tracks probably tailor more towards a wheel driver. So if Maverick's been able to keep this with being on a wheel on the pad track, you'd think now's probably where we're going to start to see him shine a lot more than he already has, and Ryan could be in trouble if he doesn't somehow get some performances.
Yeah, I mean, we have the battle really up at the front. It's wheel versus pad. Maverick on wheel, Ryan B on pad, and I don't want to bring the countries into it, but USA versus Britain is always quite the battle, I must say. So
I don't want to talk about that. There's that World Cup match, and I can't never think about Rob Green in net. That goal when we got beat by the USA, and I'll never forget it.
Viva USA, obviously. But yeah, Ryan B just crossed the line, put himself onto the front row, so splitting the 2 Ferraris, only 1/100th of a second faster than Alt Maverick. Jordan comes across the line at 21 flat from Jordan. Iverbird Mike just crosses the line to do another lap, and that's a 120.5 and puts himself 11 thousandths faster than Ryan B. So it's starting to get really quite close up at the front of the field. Ben could have improved, but he is invalidated on his lap, has backed off. McDutchface has spun at Parabolica as well. As there's a Haas coming through, that's United Bosnia. He's just starting a lap as well. So it's starting to get close up at the front as drivers are starting to put in their laps.
Yeah, I just love just how close Ryan B are and Maverick are, like, consistently every week. They're so close to each other on pace. I don't think we've seen a track where one of them have dominated each other. They've always just been so close, and it's just making for a really good title fight. As now Maverick goes on pole with a 20.3. With 4 minutes left of the session, Ryan's going to have to react, and he's going to finish his lap as well now. We can see whether it's going to be anywhere near.
Let's see what it's going to be. He's heading to the pit lane, so he must not have been improving.
With 4 minutes left, they've had 3 runs. Does he have a fresh set of softs left? Or is he going to have to go out on a worn set to try and get pole? Because his championship rival has just got the pole lap time, so he knows he has to go out and beat that.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting, but I was talking. I believe you were in this party last night, but I was talking to Carmentalist, Division 3 commentator, Division 2 driver. He's saying that Cam K could get back in this championship, but right now, it's looking a little bit interesting for the McLaren driver. 13th as of right now, slowest out of all the drivers who have set a lap. Currently, Slayer and CPI Noah are trying to make that a P15 for the McLaren driver, but Cam K's really been, I want to say he's really been struggling as of late. He won the race in Hungary, but then scored 5 points in Portugal and picked up a 5th place in Belgium. So he's been there, but he's been off the radar.
I don't understand Cam K, because we saw in that Division 5 season that he had where he just dominated. And then he wanted to get moved up and he seems to not try whenever he has a challenge. It's a very strange one, because we saw from at Portugal, he was by far the fastest on pace. You could see it. And he purposely didn't qualify.
Yeah.
Remember, he stayed in the pit lane the whole time, and then on his lap, he was like 3 tenths up on pole position and just went into the pits.
Yeah, I don't know. Cam K is quite the... It's odd, honestly, from Cam K. But that has also kind of brought Major Falcon back, onto the back of him in the championship standings. Only 6 points separate the two. Major Falcon currently P14 right there with Cam K, obviously 0.3 of a second faster than the McLaren driver, but he's still 1 place in front of him, what could mean quite a bit here in this Italian Grand Prix for Division 4. So there's quite a bit to fight for some drivers. Here, obviously, we have the tight gap between Alt Maverick and Ryan B. We have a tight gap between Cam K and Major Falcon. There's 1 point separating MCR and Mr. Wouter, and then you have Marty 10 points back with Storm 3 points behind him. And then we have a 3-driver gap of Slumcon, Jordan, and McDutchface on 47, 46, and 44 points, respectively. So there's a lot of tight groups, I guess you could say, here in the standings.
Yeah, and everyone's coming out now on their out laps to finish the last lap. It's going to be chaos. We all know what Monza's like. In real life F1, the qualifying can get very, very stupid at times. And will we see now, I'm seeing Marty slow down a lot. Will we see drivers give each other slipstream on these runs? Will we see people help out the teammates and maybe sacrifice their own qualifying?
I mean, maybe, but some drivers are not close enough to each other. Like, the 2 Ferraris are kind of close, but they still have to do both of them are going to be doing laps. Iverberg Mike is just starting his lap. Ryan B is on a lap right now, but he's heading through the first sector with Jordan nowhere in sight. Slayer's in the pit lane, so McDutchface isn't going to be getting anything. Noah J's in the pits, and United Bosnia is in the pits, both Hasses. Ben Gallagher, he's on an out lap right now, but he doesn't have a teammate in the lobby. Goldie and Slumpcon were relatively close to each other, but Slumcon is coming into the pits after invalidating. His lap must have ran out of fuel or he's not going to have enough fuel. And then, the two, MCR's in here, I don't think, is McDutchface throws it on pole position.
I didn't expect that.
It looked pretty good.
Ryan B's now going to start the last sector as well. He's on a flying lap at the moment.
Yeah, let's get on board with the Mercedes driver, longtime championship leader. He was a tenth of a second up through the middle sector split, but he kind of got swung to the middle of the circuit there at that final
over the corner.
But Ariel Jordan's right in front of him. I don't know why they're doing slipstream here. This is kind of, I would say the worst place to do it, but I'm sure there are a lot worse places. So Ryan B just about to cross the line. He improves by 0.2 of a second, and it puts him 0.02 of a second between himself and McDutchface. Both Ferraris are heading through the middle and
for another lap. Yeah,
the middle
and
the first sector.
Jordan's just sacrificed his lap for Ryan B, who has messed up the lap on turn 2.
Iverberg Mike was on a lap, but he's not improving anymore, so he heads into the pit lane. So Cam K is going to be the next driver to improve. He was a 5.5 tenths of a second up through the middle sector split. It's going to be Cam K. Yeah, it's going to be Cam K through, and then Marty, and then an Alpine, and then a Red Bull, and then Alt Maverick to cross the line. So let's see what Cam K can do. Currently last P15 on 21.666, but this should put him a little bit higher up. It's a 20.998. Puts himself into P13. Let's see what Marty can do. He only needs to improve a tenth and a half to get onto provisional pole position once again. What is it going to be from Marty? He puts himself on a pole position, but not by very much. There's an Alpine coming to the line. I think that's going to be MCR.
Maverick coming around as well. Can he respond to his championship rival with a point?
He's not improving much though. Oh, he finds a lot of time in that final sector.
Much?
He was down heading through the middle sector, but found a ton of time in that final sector through Ascari and through Parabolica. Now we have Ben Gallagher heading to the line in his Alpha Tauri. It's at the 120.5, and that puts him into P6. I'm sure he won't be very mad about that one. Ryan B comes to the line, but obviously he wasn't going to be improving. Jordan, who got out of the way, is going to be heading to the pit lane. There's someone else that's one of the Williams into the pit lane. I think it was Slimcon. But there we go. Alt Maverick and Marty. It's a Ferrari 1-2 in Italy, and I'm sure they're going to be very happy with that one.
Can we just go back to, he's not improved that much, he said.
He was down heading into the middle, heading into the final sector. He was down 0.013. So I don't know how he found 0.2 of a second in the final sector, but he did it.
I'll tell you what, Ryan B will be, those 0.002 of a second are going to make such a massive difference going into turn 1 as well.
Like, oh my, Maverick. So
this is interesting now, though, because what will Marty do? Because now he has a really good opportunity now. There's a gap between Maverick and Ryan, and Marty could be the guy to. He could really help out Maverick here, or he could go for the win. I'm hoping it's the latter because it'll make it very interesting. But we all know how important DRS is on this track. If Marty can just do a job for Maverick for even like 2 laps, and Maverick gets a second gap, I don't see a way Ryan catches him without a safety car.
Well, it is going to be wet in the race, we have to remember, so it's going to be interesting. Who put on a wet setup? That's going to be the real question here, but we can't go through the order. Alt Maverick and Marty. I don't know what's going on with my speaker. But anyways, Alt Maverick and Marty on the front row, 120 for the 2 Ferraris. Mac Dutchface, Ryan B will share the second row. Ruben, Mike, and Ben Gallagher, the third row. Slayer, Noah J on the 4th row. And then Goldie and Hyundai Bosnia on the 5th row. Let me pull up the stream. I can go through the rest of the order. Where's my mouse? There it is. All right. And then MCR Slimcon on row 6, Cam K Jordan on row 7, and then I believe it's Major Falcon who's going to be alone on row 8 for the Alpine team. So let's take a quick run through the standings since we are going to have a little bit of time between now and the start of the race. So we have it Alt Maverick and Ryan B on 155 and 153 respectively. I know I've already kind of gone through these numbers, but yeah, we can go through them again just for a quick roundup as well as the rest of the standings. Cam K, Major Falcon, 6 points separating them. MCR is 39 points behind Major Falcon, but is 1 point in front of Mr. Wilder in 6th. And then it's Marty, Storm, Slimcon, P7, P8, P9, and then Ariel Jordan in P10. McDutchface is in P11 with Energetics, P12, who is not here tonight. Poldy Poles in P13, United Bosnia in P14. And then Slayer P15, Iverburn Mike P16, Ben Gallagher P15, P17. Sorry, Eduk on in 18th, Noah J on 19th, and then Vagabond who's in P20, the last of the point scorers. And it does look to be inter conditions as of right now. I don't think anyone will be on the wets. Everyone is indeed on the intermediate tires. I wonder if it's going to get more wet towards the end of this race, but it's going to be interesting to see. Just looking over the constructors right now, Ferrari looking poised to increase their constructors lead. They're up by 16 points right now on Mercedes.
Yeah, the constructors is very, very close because it did look like for a long time it was going to be quite dominant because we had every single team had one driver performing very well and the other not so much, and then Mercedes was just being quite even. And now we've got Ferrari. Now Marty started to pull his weight. I can't see a way. Like, I think the last 3 times they've both qualified, 2 out of the front 3? Something like that?
Something like that.
With Jordan, he's struggling to get the result. Like, he finds himself around, without incidents, Jordan always finds his way around 6th or so. But he's not got, like, the pure pace of, like, some of the other drivers in the division. So, Ryan B is really going to have to start pulling that if they want the constructors. Alpine as well are an interesting one. Like, I didn't see I think Major Falcon, I'm very confused at first of all as to how he's so far down, because he's been really fast in qualifying.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. But...
I just want to see Marty send it into turn 1, to be honest with you. But I've got a question for you now before we start this race. Opinions on Monza. Is it in my opinion, it's a rubbish track. Is it good just because of its history, or do you think it's genuinely a good track?
I think Formula 1 is it's a good track in real life Formula 1. For league racing, it's not amazing just because, well, DRS it's good, but like it's not Portugal levels, but it's a decent amount. But once you get into a train, obviously the DRS is not going to be active here in Division 4 since it is a wet race. But it's so difficult to race people, especially now with the changes to the sausage curbs at the first and second chicanes. It's almost impossible to race anyone unless you want to make a move maybe into a scar, but it's difficult to make a move there. In Parabolica, it's almost impossible to go side by side there. So unless you're brave or all the way ahead at turn 1, you're going to get a move done, or it's just almost suicide hit into the second chicane. So I don't like this track for league racing, but it's always fun to drive personally for me. But yeah, I think it's good for its history, and normal real life Formula 1 it's pretty decent. But the red lights for Division 4 are coming on. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights. Lights out and away we go. Marty gets in an absolutely amazing start. I think they're going to be side by side already. All Maverick not getting the graces of starts. McDutchface looking to the inside of the Ferrari, but Ryan B's already up into third place for the time being. He brakes really late. Is he going to get stopped into turn 1? Yes, he is. It's going to be Ryan B and All Maverick going side by side. Maverick makes a little bit of contact with Ryan B, but I think Ryan B is going to be able to keep second place. All Maverick squeezing McDutchface onto the grass there. So pole position to third place for All Maverick, and it could be even lower down because now Noah J is coming at McDutchface around the outside of Curva Grande as Marty's already has a second lead going into the second chicane that has in the Red Bull of McDutchface and Noah J are getting really close. Is that someone that's Ben Gallagher has gone really wide there at the second chicane? He's going to be heading on, coming back onto the track. Who was that? The other Red Bull Slayer. The other Red Bull driver of Slayer also cut the chicane as well. Goldie trying to go around the outside of Ben Gallagher, who's off the track there at that second chicane. Trying to go around the outside into Lesmo 2. A little contact between the two drivers. Goldie's going to keep it around the outside, though. I think he's going to keep that position for right now, but they're going to be side by side down the straight. But Marty already has a 1.3 second lead on Ryan B, who is just 6 seconds in front, or 0.6 of a second in front of Alt Maverick, as Major Falcon picks up a 5-second time penalty for gaining one place under yellow flag conditions. I think a few people might have damage here. I think Slayer might be one of the drivers with damage because he's really struggling through Ascari and Camp Gate is breezing past him.
Yeah, and I will say that penalty by Ben Gallagher is very harsh because I saw him literally use the good old classic escape road as well from Monza. He didn't even just come back on track. He used the full escape road. Did not gain time whatsoever, so hopefully he can get that removed if the shoe is deemed that worthy. But the main talking point from this is, one, I went on board with Marty for the start, and he had an electric start off the line, and Ryan B got through as well. I think with the mistake Maverick made, he's very lucky to have not got damage as well. So all 3 front cars are intact. Ryan B is up into second place. He's in a Ferrari sandwich, and now Marty's going to have to make that decision of race win or help his teammate for the title. And he's picked himself the first 2 times he's been in this position. And the first 2 times he's been in this position, he has not just won, he has walked away with it.
Ben Gallagher going off the track at the second chicane. Once again, he doesn't pick up a penalty this time, but he might be really struggling with getting that car stopped, especially into that second chicane. So he goes across the runoff, and Camp K's up into 8th place, who's now going to be challenging Goldie in his first race this season, who is a second off Ivan Mike, who is dropping to McDutchface. But yeah, top 3 right now. Marty, who's leading, but Ryan B really starting to close him down. Marty possibly making a few mistakes in these difficult conditions, but he's 1.3 seconds off the back of him now. All Maverick trying to stick with his championship rival, and then Noah J a second back with McDutchface just under 0.7 of a second behind them. So it's close for being in the rain as McDutchface makes a mistake into Parabolica, and Ivan Mike should be able to close up. But yeah, Cam K right now is on the back of Goldie. I think that's the closest battle out on track, and he's using his ERS as the McLaren driver.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Marty scared me then because he used the inside curve. Some con's gone.
Well, that's VSC. I think he must have just I would say just got on the AstroTurf on the exit and spun it around, because it can be very difficult to get parabolic right, even in the dry. But yeah, that will bring out a VSC. Let's ride on board with Slayer, see if we can get an image of Khan's incident, but I think his car has already been cleared away, so we're not going to be able to see where he crashed. Probably just put it in one of those barriers right there on the left. Yeah, so VSC now, we have Marty who's leading, and then Ryan B, Alt Maverick, CPI, Noah J, and then McDutchface, your top 5. Ivor, Mike, Goldie, Cam K, Ben Gallagher, and Bosnia is the top 10, with Jordan, MCR, P11, P12, and then Slayer and Major Falcon have already made pit stops in this race, and Sumkhan is our first retiree. So, Marty...
I don't know what the tire wear's like on this race. I know in the dry, like, mediums can go nearly the whole race. Like, could the inches have made it to the end?
They might be able to. I know in the race I did on Monday, the full wets could make the entire race, I don't want to say easily, but they can make it the entire race with maybe a safety car or two. So
yeah, I was just thinking, I'm surprised like no one took the gamble and went in with the VSC there and saved himself a full pit stop in the rain as well.
Yeah, the VSC did come out quite late, but yeah, I don't know if anyone was even able to pit, but yeah.
MCR would have made it. He got the back maybe. Jordan, they were behind.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't know. While close battles out on track, K still behind Goldie, but that VSC spreading them out just a little bit. Ryan B and All Mavic are also starting to get close out on track. Cam K not quite close enough to make a move on Goldie quite yet, but I think Alt Maverick is poised, looking to make a move, but is starting to use that ERS, and he's starting to run just a little bit low, I want to say.
Yeah, you do gain it back a lot in the rain, but still, maybe they're all just thinking of the pit window, trying to use as much as they can, then go into the pits, get it back. At the moment, though, they're in this situation. We see this in the dry. It's going to be even more in the rain. We see it in Austria a lot, for instance. This train should just probably stay the way it is until someone crashes. And the smart thing to do mainly is just to sit in the train, just wait for people to make a mistake. The only issue is, which I've found a few times, if the guy makes a mistake in front of you, it messes up the whole train a little bit, especially if you're not as fast and you're relying on that person's pace.
Yeah, because if you make a mistake at the front of the train, everybody behind you normally has to slow up just a little bit. Even if it's only for a few thousandths of a second, they have to slow up a little bit. So that's going to...
Okay, thinking about it here.
Yeah, he's been close all throughout the lap. He thought about maybe into the second chicane, but wasn't quite close enough through Curva Grande. Couldn't quite get the run on Goldie in front of him. But Goldie seemingly... I don't want to say he's struggling a little bit, as All Mavericks has fastest lap of the race. But Cam K all over that throttle pedal, trying to get the best run possible out of Parabolica and down onto lap number 5. But he's close, but he's not quite close enough. That one slide, any amount of slide out of Parabolica, and your run is almost completely done, unless you're running a lot lower wings than the person in front of you, especially without DRS's. Goldie's all over the road. He was on that exit curb, and that's not where you want to be in the wet, and that's going to be Cam K, a free position for the McLaren.
Yeah, this is exactly what I mean now. So obviously he's made the mistake. Luckily his teammates ahead of him might help him out a little bit, but someone makes a mistake in front of you, the gap between you and the next car is quite big. You have to push quite a lot now to kind of reform the train again. Someone else who maybe hasn't had enough credit at the start. We focus on obviously the title contenders are a lot of the time in this division now because of how close it is. CPI Noah J, not had the most impressive of seasons. He's gained 4 positions from the start of the race. He's now currently in P4. I think he's looking at this be his best finish of the season so far, I think.
We could take a quick look. CPI Noah J. Well, he's on 6 points right now, and all 6 points coming from Portugal with 2 DNFs. So, yeah, looking on for his best result of the season as of right now. But obviously, we still have a long way to go in this race. We're on lap 5, going into lap number 6. Here in the Italian Grand Prix 4 Division 4 as Ryan B sets fastest lap of the race on lap number 6, and then McDutchface follows him slightly after. But yeah, there's still 22 laps left of this race, and I'm sure there's still quite a bit of strategy left to play out in this one.
No, McDutchface goes extremely deep there, massive walk up into turn 1, went straight over the turn 2 curve, probably got a warning for it, but almost completely wiped out his teammate there in P4. Well, it's not his teammate, he's got I keep thinking that white Red Bull's a Haas, you know?
Yeah, it looks pretty close to the Haas, I must say, that Red Bull. So,
I need it to go back to normal. I don't like this one. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I don't like the onboard. The onboard is kind of ugly, but we have a spinner. Oh, it's Jordan.
Ah. Well, this is what you get for being a... I mean, still with the points. That's the benefit of only 15 people starting.
True. So, yeah, Jordan spinning off there at the second chicane. Unfortunate there for him, but he's still in the points, 5.2 seconds behind the next driver in front of him as of right now. Battles that are starting to close down. Ben Gallagher, he was around 0.3 of a second behind Goldie at the beginning of this lap, but that gap has extended a little bit through the middle sector, through the technical parts of the circuit. Ryan B is closing down Marty a little bit. Not quite fast lap for Ryan B. Alt Maverick also, he's struggling a little bit, I want to say, but Marty, he has the most ERS out of all the top three right now, and then Noah J being on 53%, 3.3 seconds back though, so he's not going to be doing much as of right now. But yeah, we still have the Ferrari sandwich, Alt Maverick all over the road there. Ooh.
And I was just about to say, it's just starting to calm down a bit, and then we got a little bit of that, and I'm looking at these three at the front. I can't see much change in bar a mistake until the pit stops. It's all going to be about who times the pit stop well, who gets it perfect with the tyre wear. Because obviously these tyres can go a very long way. Arguably the full race, I'm not sure. I know, like you said, you think the full wets pretty much could do. I don't know what happens with the inters, but whoever times it perfectly, because of how long the pit stops take, and obviously with the slipstream and such, you'd think the person to make the decision is going to be Ryan. You'd think he'd be the one to go first, maybe.
Yeah, Ryan possibly try to take advantage of, be aggressive and try and make that move on Marty. He's really closing down Marty on this lap especially. So Marty either struggling or Ryan B found a little bit of form, got comfortable, finally adjusted to the conditions after that dry qualifying session. So he's starting to close down the race leader, but Alt Maverick is going with him right now. He's starting to match him on this lap, obviously, besides that mistake at the first corner. So, at the second corner even. So let's see what he can do. Ryan B a 1:30.2. On that lap, just trying to follow Marty, possibly look to make an overtake, but it's going to be so very difficult without the DRS. Slipstream isn't too powerful here, and then also it being wet, it's going to be very difficult to gain an advantage when you're behind someone, very close to someone with that dirty air.
Yeah, I'm going to give him credit where it's due, because I know he also raced no assists, which is still to this day, I don't understand how people do that. I panic just turning my gears off. Mike has had a really good race, and he's been owed one because his pace has always been pretty decent. It just doesn't seem to click for him ever. He's in P6 right now. He had a poor start in quali. He actually looked really, really good. He seems to be catching Noah J and McDutchface quite comfortably at the moment. He's got his teammate behind him who's already pulled a 2.5 second gap, is it, to Goldie. So at the moment, McLaren look like they're on for a pretty decent result.
Yeah, McLaren looking for some decent points. Obviously, Everbridge Mike, not a regular points finisher, but has shown some pace in the past, just at mistakes, I think, reducing his current points tally.
I will say, 19. When you say like regular point scorer, when he doesn't DNF, he does finish in the points. He's one of those where he'll always be in a good position, and oh dear, he went deep then. He'll always be in a good position, but then he'll just mess it up and DNF or something. But if you look on his points tally, there's not been a race where he's finished outside of the points without DNFing or not starting the race.
Yeah. So 6 points in Bahrain, then 2 DNFs, 2 points in Britain, DNF, DNS, and then 5 points in Russia, DNS, DNS, and then 2 3-point scores right in a row at Portugal and Belgium. So looking to improve on that. 19 points total for Everbridge Mike as of right now, but pales in comparison
yellow symbol
to his
yellow symbol in the bottom right of his screen.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he did underfuel, so I don't know how easy it is to regain to save fuel here. So let's see how that plays out for Everbridge Mike, especially if it goes dry at the end of the race. It might be a little bit more difficult to save that fuel. But yeah, pales into the comparison is 19 points compared to his teammate Cam K, who's on 116 as of right now, and looking to improve on that. But he's dropping to he's closing a 10th in the last lap on his teammate. But he's pulling away from Goldie, who's has Ben Gallagher right behind him, is struggling to make a move, even if he has the pace to do so. So, yeah, Cam K he's not showing the greatest of pace, but he's leading the train that is P7 downward. So, not doing too bad for himself a little bit in no man's land. But Ivory Mike is on the back of this battle for P4. McDutchface second back, and Alt Maverick setting fastest lap of the race on a 130.020. With Ryan B a second and a half up the road, who has Alt Maverick's teammate just in front of him.
Yeah, it had to be these three drivers at the front, didn't it? It's been this story for most of the season. Obviously, Marty's only just started to get into the front. It's mainly been Ryan and Maverick, but Marty isn't dominating this as much as the other races he has done. I think the last two where he was in the front, he did just drive off. This race, Ryan's keeping up, and it's going to be really interesting. I think the pit stops are going to decide a lot of this now, because with Marty and Maverick, obviously, would assume Marty would go in first. We've seen what they did the last few times. Marty has got priority, but if you're Maverick, is it worth sending it in a little bit earlier? Marty's just made a mistake on the exit, and now Ryan's going to go back and take the lead of the race. Marty got very, very squirrely coming out of that corner, took out the DRS board, which obviously won't be used this race until maybe the end, and Ryan's got into the front, and that's massive for this now.
Yeah, that's huge for this race, because it's almost impossible to make overtakes on the wet here at Monza. So making that mistake for Marty is really, really what he did not need to do. Lesmo 2 can be very difficult to get right, especially on the exit, just because the gravel is very close onto the exit, and that curb can be absolutely deadly if you don't get it right. So Marty making that mistake, it's a common mistake that's made, but you would really expect them not to be going, all out over the curbs on the exit there. So that's Marty down to second place, and Ryan B up into the lead of this race. But Marty's going to be trying to keep that position now. But we have Iverman Mike, the first driver out of that top 6, 7, to make a pit stop onto a fresh set of intermediate tires.
Yeah, and that could be a really, really smart move, you know. And I was just about to say, I wonder if we'll start to see people hopping into the pit soon. I'm not sure whether there's scheduled to be a dry stint at the end of this race or not, and whether people might gamble and trying to take the inches until that stint, but I think around about now is a good time to pit if there's not going to be a dry stint, because you're going to get the undercut. The inches can go that long safely anyway. I don't see a reason why you wouldn't pit right now, and I think bar there being a dry spell at the end, Mike could have made a really good move here, and possibly, with his pace compared to Noah J and McDutchface, he was getting held up. He could jump his way to fourth if they don't react.
Yeah, it could be a good call there from Iverman Mike, but Noah J pulling away from McDutchface. They're still dropping to the top 3, so the top 3 obviously the fastest 3 drivers on the circuit as of right now. We still don't know how Iverman Mike is going to be looking after that pit stop, being he has 8.8 seconds of clean air in front of him, so he could have a good shot at jumping McDutchface, especially with his 100% of ERS that he's not using. Thank you. He could have a good shot at jumping the Red Bull and possibly the Haas, because Noah J is not going to be heading into the pits, and neither of the top 3 are in as well. But McDutchface opting to stay out for the time being.
Yeah, and it does take you back to that question that I just said there. I wonder if there is a dry spell at the end that we know about. As Ben Gallagher's now coming in, so he's reacting. So the drivers behind are all going for the jump. People deciding to stay out, apart from Ben and Mike, as Mike's going quite wide here, and Mike will be hoping that there isn't any. Both Mike and Ben, the two people who have underfueled, have both pitted, ironically. And I think they'll be hoping that it stays this weather, because 1, it helps their strategy, and 2, they can't afford for it to go dry with the fuel loads that they've got.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be very difficult for them to, save that fuel if it does go dry, unless there's maybe a safety car or a VSC, but still, even then, it's going to be difficult for them to get that fuel back. I don't know how far they've gone into the hole in terms of fuel, but
I beg your pardon?
it's gonna be interesting to see what happens there. So Ben Gallagher, Iverman Mike, the first 2 drivers to make legitimate pit stops here in the Italian Grand Prix, but just looking up at the front, this race, I don't want to say it's a bore fest, but Strategy is going to start to play a part in this one. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I'm struggling to find things to talk about. People aren't even overtaking. We're seeing a good 1 second gap. We just need someone to jump into
Marty's
this
in.
pit.
From second place.
This is big.
You know, that helps Maverick as well, because that gives him a little bit of clean air to Ryan B so he can start to push. But he has absolutely no ERS. Never mind.
I don't know if it does help, because I feel like Maverick would have been the one to pit first, come out, held up Ryan and then Marty would have benefited from that. All Marty does from this, Marty had clean air anyway, they're all 1 second between each other. The way this helps Marty is he's going to have fresher tyres, but he has put himself in the pack.
Yeah, he's right
with
behind
drivers
MCR.
that are slower, so I'm not sure if that was... I thought Marty would have waited for Maverick to pit first.
Yeah, also, Iverburn Mike has gained a little bit on Noah J, so he should be able to jump McDutchface, I would imagine, because he is close enough to Noah J to get that undercut. Marty on the back of MCR, so he's going to be starting to lose time here, so I'm not sure if the top two... Well, Ryan B might be able to come in without losing too much time, because he's going to be really splitting the gap between himself and, well, MCR and United Bosnia, so he might be able to have that gap, but I don't think Alt Maverick does, because he's going to be, should be behind Marty and in front of Ariel Jordan, but now Marty heading out of Lesmo 2 is really on the back of MCR. You can see how much better those new inters are, but MCR using his ERS, trying to defend this position for as long as possible. And he's not really helping himself. He's not helping his teammate because, he's in P14, his teammate. He's only really hindering Marty here.
Yeah, and Ryan B's in, so...
Ooh, that's...
Maverick's got...
Speeding.
This is a small mistake. He made this mistake before as well. And this makes you think... I think at Belgium he picked up a penalty really early on. It's these little things. And for the people that don't watch regularly, if you're here and you don't watch regularly, obviously in F1 you have your team managers and stuff and your team engineers. Obviously we don't have that, but we are a bunch of sweaty little virgins. So
speak for yourself.
People will, well, I mean, come on, it's you, let's be honest. So everyone has that one person sat in a party with them, and I'm pretty sure someone's just told Ryan, Marty's held up here, you need to dive in the pits. And look how it's worked out. Maverick's got past him, Ryan B's pulled a massive gap, and this has really backfired on Marty. And Maverick with that penalty as well, this is looking brilliant for Ryan all of a sudden.
He does have United Bosnia right in front of him, but I would imagine United Bosnia would be, in within the next few laps, unless he's really trying to take those entries to the end, which I don't think would be the greatest of decisions. But anyways, we have Cam K past Iverburn Mike around the outside of turn 5, which is interesting considering he was on the inside for turn 4 at the beginning of that chicane, and now Slayer into the pit, is into the pits and retires. So we have as of right now, if everybody finishes, only one person will not be scoring points, as United Bosnia let Ryan be through, or is he just struggling?
That was a bit dodgy.
That was close. That gap was pretty big. It was 1.8 seconds going into the second chicane.
That didn't look the best, you know.
It looks like United Bosnia is just struggling, because look how much time he's already dropped to Ryan B, and how much time Alt Maverick is already closing in. As Alt Maverick has, ran out of deployment.
He's run out.
As Marty sets fastest lap of the race behind his teammate at 128.9. So obviously Alt Maverick must be running at some pretty decent pace, as Ariel Jordan will be into the pit lane. Oh, that's interesting. Braked really quite late because United Bosnia is struggling. That was close. That could have been almost race over for Alt Maverick there.
Yeah, Maverick needs to be careful. He's got that penalty as well, which if Marty catches him, Maverick's going to let him pass, surely. With the penalty as well, I can't see why he'd try hold him up. Surely, if Marty's faster, you'd think he'd just let Marty pass and hope for something. But he's in a dodgy situation, because obviously if a safety car comes out, Maverick's going to have to serve that penalty.
Yeah, he's going to have to serve it. So, out of Lesmo 2 here, United Bosnia uses, his huge remain of ERS. And he's defending from Alt Maverick, which he didn't do for Ryan B.
Don't send it. Okay. Yeah, this is...
Oh, that's close.
If I'm Maverick, I'm fuming right now.
I would be too. Okay,
although he's not using though.
Okay.
He has just let both Ferraris pass, so I do think it was just a case of... I think he knew to get out the way. I just think he's struggling at... I forgot what's the corner, got Ascari, that's the one.
Yeah.
I think he just struggles at Ascari, and Mavericks caught him at a very bad time there.
Yeah, but now Ryan B is, 3 seconds up the road. Alt Maverick doesn't have much ERS, as Noah J sets fastest lap of the race. Marty has a lot more ERS, so it might be useful for Alt Maverick to just sit behind, but Marty makes a mistake into that first chicane as United Bosnia is into the pit lane and should be coming out around P11, P12 after that pit stop. So... but other changes throughout the field. Iverman Mike has lost positions to Cam K and McDutchface since his pit stop and everyone else's pit stop. Ben Gallagher has not gained much on Iverman Mike and has not really gained in position either. And then Noah J has not really closed up to the top 3, but he's pulled away from Cam K and Iverman Mike and McDutchface as well. So that's really what he needed in this race, because now he's truly in no man's land and is looking on for a pretty strong P4, maybe onto that podium if we get a few more incidents. And if he can close up to Alt Maverick, that 5-second penalty could come to hinder the Ferrari driver.
Yeah, and did Mike make a mistake? Because unless Cam K wasn't catching Mike by that much, and he was behind Mike before they pitted, and now he's 3 seconds, 5 seconds ahead of Mike?
Yeah. No, 2.5.
Or is Cam K just that quick?
I mean, I think those fresh tires really helped him, but he's not really catching Noah J, is he? And Noah J is falling away from the leaders as well, so Iverman Mike either made a mistake or he has damage or something.
I think it could be a mixture of both, because I know he jumped McDutchface.
Yeah, he was in front of Cam K and McDutchface coming out of, when they had come out of the pits.
Yeah, so he must have made a mistake then, because surely, I can't see how Cam K... Because I was thinking, when McDutchface made when Mike made that pit, it was the same thing as what Marty did, but it worked out for Mike really well. And he kind of thrown away that advantage he's got. McDutchface got a poor exit, and they're going to go side by side. And I wonder if anyone's going to back out of this. I think Mike's going to think twice. I'd love him to send it though. It'd be great if he sent it, wouldn't it?
Well, McDutchface is defending it. Lock up for McDutchface. Goes over the curves.
You've got to send it.
I mean, there was a gap there, but I don't know how sane Iverman Mike would be pictured as if he tried to go for that move. United Bosnia looking for a move on MCR, but he's not going to go for that. He's not going to go for that one. So getting, I guess, a taste of his own medicine, if you will. But yeah, he's still P11, looking to make his move. He's making the move into Lesmo 1. There's a little contact between the two drivers, between the Alpine and the Haas. MCR goes a little bit wide, but is able to keep the position for the time being. So United Bosnia looking for every opportunity and trying to take advantage of it as well. But he's not going to have the greatest of runs out of Lesmo 2, going down towards the Ascari chicane. He's closing, but I don't think he's going to be quite close enough to make the move into turn 8.
No, it's our only little piece of action that we've got at the moment. We really need them to do something. We've got Jordan on the back of Bosnia as well, so we're going to get a little scrap at the back for the last few points positions. Well, Falcon, bless him, is just driving around and he's 30 seconds behind. He's hoping for one person to DNF so he can grab some points, but has he made a mistake there, or is he going into the pits?
MCR has made a little bit of a mistake.
No, he's not good, is he? He's a smart guy. Jordan's a smart one, he won't send it. That's a shame.
It's unfortunate that he's, really low on ERSs, Jordan, because he could have had a really good run there, but obviously his, it was 6% ERS going down into that first chicane, as MCR has some slight wheel spin as United Bosnia will drive away into the distance now. But yeah, he had almost no ERS trying to make that move, so he's not going to have the greatest of runs as Major Falcons. That's fastest lap of the race and gained 4/10 already on this battle just in front of him.
Almost lost it.
But yeah, so United Bosnia is now 12 seconds behind P9 and Goldie, so he has quite a bit to work on if he wants to get up into the higher points positions, unless there is a safety car. But looking up at the front of the field now, Ryan B hasn't been pulling away necessarily, but Alt Maverick isn't gaining either, and Marty just sticking behind his teammate for the time being. He's going to get the position, obviously, because of the 5-second penalty. I think Ryan B has this race almost won if he doesn't make a mistake, and there isn't any other safety cars.
Yeah, Ryan B doesn't need to push at this point. Maverick's got a 5-second penalty, and he's 3.4 seconds behind. At this point, he's fighting Marty, And even if Ryan picked up a warning, he's still a second and a half ahead. So he just needs, if he got, not a warning, if he got a penalty, he'd still be a second and a half ahead of Marty at this point. So currently, Ryan can afford to just chill. Marty kind of needs to, if anyone, pick up the pace. I think Maverick's going to be safe from Noah J, so he's at least got a podium. Either he decides he wants to push away from Marty to keep second, he's going to have to find another 3.5 seconds somewhere. Or Marty's going to have to try and get past sooner rather than later. But he does seem to be struggling a lot more, Marty, whereas at the start of the race he seemed very, very dominant. Now they kind of just yo-yo in between 1 to 1.5 seconds, and if it stays like this, we're going to get a very boring, just Ryan, Marty, Maverick.
Yeah, it will be another good result for Marty, though, so he can push himself up into, I think it's going to be 5th in the standings as of right now. Marty is on 60 points. He's outscoring Mr. Water, who isn't here, and he's outscoring MCR, who's currently scoring 2 points. So he would be up into 5th in the championship, but he's gaining on Major Falcon. He's getting 18, well, as of right now, he would be getting 18 points on Major Falcon. He's gaining points on Cam K. It's going to be, well, 8 points when it comes to the end of the race, unless results or the order starts to change. But yeah, so he's going to be pushing himself up into the 5th in the championship, and I would say for Marty, that's a productive day for him.
Yeah, it is. And how close are Marty and Maverick? Do you know?
Well, Maverick is on 155, Marty is on 60, so it's 95 points between them.
And so do they talk much? Like, did they work together, or?
Well, I know I think they're in separate parties for the race, so I'm not entirely sure.
What I'm thinking is, so Maverick's got that 5-second penalty. Maverick's in a title fight, obviously, with, I don't know how much Marty cares about the championship fight. I know Maverick's in one with Ryan. Marty could drop outside of those 5 seconds and still keep 3rd. Because obviously, Maverick needs any points he can get. He's currently got a 2-point gap to Ryan. The way it stands at the moment with Ryan, he's going to get the full 25 points, and then Maverick's going to drop to 3rd. Has got a yellow flag somewhere. That is
Ben Gallagher.
Ben Gallagher.
This has had a slight spin.
Would Marty keep 3rd and drop back a bit so Maverick can keep 2nd?
I don't think he would. Because either way, it doesn't really matter for Ferrari, which I think Marty is more prioritizing Ferrari than all Maverick's championship bid.
So if Marty stays in 3rd, the same points happens for Ferrari. It doesn't, like, him overtaking Maverick doesn't change anything for Ferrari.
Yeah.
As Maverick is gone. Maverick's just lost it. No way. We say this, it's all irrelevant. He was just comfortable. He's got on the exit curb, put too much power down. He's tried to recover it. I was just watching that from Marty's point of view, and he's just completely spun. And Ben Gallagher's now DNF'd. Will this bring out a safety car?
Well, it was in the pit lane as Ariel Jordan finally attempting to make a move on MCR, and we'll get that move done.
It's all happening out of nowhere. And now Jordan's spun.
And gives up for a little bit, and then spins it back around.
What's just happened? Was there an oil spin on turn 2?
I don't know, but we just had 2 spins at turn 1. We had another driver spin at Lesmo 2 and then retire. And then we also had
Why he retired? He was in the points. Did he have damage, or?
He must have had damage. So
I still think he could have possibly got Major Falcon, but still.
Yeah.
It's still a point. But...
So
this Maverick just lost it on his own. He was comfortable. It was just coming out of turn 2. This is what he didn't need to push because he already had a podium. He wasn't going to catch Ryan. And he just completely lost it coming out of turn 2. Tried to recover the car, which has just put his car... He was very lucky to not go into the wall, to be honest with you. He just ended up on the grass. No damage, luckily. But he's got that 5-second penalty, and he's down into 7th. Currently in 8th, but you'd think he'd be able to pull the gap to Goldie.
Yeah.
Mike is not going to be an easy person. Like, Mike's not just going to let you go. That's not what Mike will do. So, yeah. Maverick pushing maybe to break a gap to Marty, they're trying to gain one more position. That's cost him so much now, and you can't be making those mistakes this close to the end of the season.
Yeah, you really can't. Especially now we're well into the second half of the season here. So, yeah, that kind of, well, blows things open, because as it stood, before Alt Maverick spun, he was going to be behind Ryan B by 8 points. Now, Ryan B is winning this race. Alt Maverick is, as of right now, is in 8th, as Mike makes a little bit of a mistake, but yeah, as of right now, Alt Maverick is in 8th based off the penalties. So what is that? 10, 8, 6, 5 points. He's going to be 18 points behind Ryan B. That's a full second place with 5 races to go.
And it's just his little margins, and you'd think, and now he's picked up another penalty. He's on 8 seconds.
Well, I think that pretty much wraps up 8th place for him as he goes wide out of Ascari as well. He's just pushing. He's pushing too much.
I don't know why you push this, but you're not going to break the gap to these drivers. And like, I know he's faster than them, but they're not that much slower. They're going to be able to keep within his penalty range.
Yeah, Iverberg Mike just in front of him. He might be able to get him down into turn 1 here. He has the slipstream. Iverberg Mike isn't using any ERS because he doesn't have much to burn.
He has no need to. I think he's confident Maverick's not going to pull 8 seconds on him.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't understand this, because what he's done now, he would have probably got past Goldie, to be honest, on the penalties. Now he has to pull 8 seconds on Goldie, which he can do.
It's going to be difficult.
The wire.
But it's up 23 out of 27 as well. He has to pull what? He has to pull 3 seconds in 4 laps? And he still has to get past McDutchface. He still has to get past McDutchface and Kemke if he wants to get have the best shot at pulling that gap. So
also, Mike's still on yellow fuel.
Yeah, that's getting pretty close, I must say. So
if he's timed this perfectly, then fair play. But I think Mike might be doing a little bit of lifting and coasting now. He'll probably settle knowing that. That'll be interesting actually, because he has to lift and coast, but he has to stay within 8 seconds of Maverick as well, so this will be interesting. Well, Maverick is sliding again, and he's gone again!
And that's him out!
He's DNF'd! What's he doing?
And it's a safety car!
He's completely lost his head. And I would say...
That puts Marty back into the shot for a win, possibly.
I was going to say this has completely screwed Ryan, but it hasn't really. I think Ryan will still... Obviously, he'll want the win, but he'll still take 2nd place.
Yeah.
If it means a Maverick DNF, so I don't know what he's lost. He had that one spin, and it's just like he's lost his head.
Yeah,
he's left the session, and you don't want to say it too early. There are plenty of races to go, but this puts Ryan in the driver's seat to not make a mistake in the last few races and go for the championship. And now it's going to be down to Martin. Maverick, to be honest, needs Marty to, he needs his teammates to do an absolute wonder for him, because the only way this recovers for Maverick is if Ryan B also DNFs this race now.
Yeah, because that would, well, has Maverick completed 90%? I'm not entirely sure. What, he retired, he completed 22 laps, so if we do 22 divided by 27, that's only 81%, so Alt Maverick's not going to score points no matter what here. So, as of right now, if he completes, well, he's going to complete lap 24, quite obviously, unless he crashes at Parabolica. He has to complete 25 laps, does Ryan B, to get 90%. So, after that, if he completes the next lap, which I'm sure he will because it's safety car conditions, he's going to be equal to Alt Maverick no matter what.
This is crazy. So right now, so I understand you want the win. That's a racing mentality. You're going to go for the win. All Ryan has to remember is, if Marty is faster, which he didn't look faster, Ryan B was keeping the, if not pulling away a gap, he was pulling away a comfortable gap. 2nd place is not ideal, but when Maverick has DNF, 2nd place is more than fine.
Yeah. You know, in an eerie way, we were just talking about this before the stream started.
Yeah, it's crazy. We think like this, it's been so close, this championship. And it's like one mistake like this, it can cost, this could be what cost him the championship.
Yeah.
Because all Ryan has to do now, really, is finish the races. And Maverick, like, you know, not obviously Maverick, if he wins every single race, he'll still be able to pull the gap, but Maverick can't afford a mistake from now till the end of the season. Ryan B can afford a few, like, second places, third places.
Yeah. And safety car is going to be in this lap. And this also puts Noah J into the podium, well, puts him on the podium.
Look at Major Falcon.
Oh,
oh no. We're not going to get a Eustace situation. Please no.
Well, I don't think we'll get a Eustace situation, because I don't think Major Falcon is really involved with the team, unless I'm completely mistaken. But yeah, so safety car is going to be in. Major Falcon is technically leading the train, but he's going to stay as close to the safety car as he can just to get the best restart possible. And then we have Ryan B and we have Marty. Ryan B now going, Marty trying to follow with him, and Major Falcon's, well, going to have to let these guys through, I'd imagine. So yeah, Ryan B and Marty battling for the race victory, and Noah J is actually right in the back of these guys. He was a little bit further back, but that doesn't mean he was going at full speed. His tires are going to be quite warmed up just on this restart in general.
As well.
As McDuckface wheel spins his way out of turn 2 as well, as we're now on the penultimate lap of the race. So yeah, Ivory Mike trying to maybe pick up a fourth place if he's able to make his way past McDutchface. But Noah J is on the podium as of right now. Ryan B is leading this race, looking to take the victory, and Marty's in second place, just hoping for a second place, hoping to keep it on the track as well. So it's not the greatest day for Ferrari, because right now they're losing 10 points, I want to say. They're losing 10 points to Mercedes, which is going to put the constructors' points at 6 points between Mercedes and Ferrari, and then Ryan B is going to be leading the championship by 23 points.
Yeah, overall this is very good for Mercedes. Marty, I don't think he has the pace, to be honest, and I don't think he will go for it. I think Marty's going to be a bit smarter than that. I think he'll be very happy with a second place. A first, and a second, based off the rest of his season. If you looked at Marty's season from Portugal onwards, you'd think he'd be fighting for the championship, genuinely.
But right now, he's going to be putting himself into, around 5th, just after this race.
I could genuinely see him getting 3rd in the title if he keeps this up till the end.
Yeah, because KMK's in 7th right now. He's not scoring many points. It's still 6 points to his name, but still, as he sets past the lap, so 7 now. And Major Falcon is on 11th, but he's a lap down, so yeah.
Major Falcon, though, this shows why you should always just stick in there, because he was he was nearly a lap down very early on. He'd pitted twice before everyone else had pitted once, and he's found himself, he's in the points, and not just any point, he's going to pick up 2 points at the moment. So it just shows why you should always. And we're talking about Mike's petrol. That safety car, I bet he's so happy that came out.
Yeah, I could imagine that safety car. Well, he didn't even really catch up until the very, very end. So, I mean, he could. Well, under safety car, you can put your fuel mode into lean. So I'm sure that also helped him.
I mean, he's on red fuel now, but I think everyone else is. So we're all good.
No one in the top 4.
Oh, so he must have just timed this perfectly then. Just worked out, because in 5th, this is his best finish of the season. But I'm going to pass it over to you now, as you can give Ryan his moment in a crazy race.
Coming around the final corner for the final time, uses all of his deployment, and he's going to take the race victory here in Monza. I'm not entirely sure what race victory that is for him, but I want to say it's either 3 or 4 for the Mercedes driver. Marty will take his 3rd podium in a row with that 2nd place. Noah J will take his 1st podium of the season for season 6th and 3rd. McDutchface will take a solid P4 from him. If I've ever been Mike, I'm sure he'll be very happy with the 10 points he will receive for finishing in 5th place. Goldie, on his debut this season, he will take P6 in front of Kamke, who will take 7th and fastest lap, I believe. United Bosnia will come across the line to finish off an interesting day in P8. Ariel Jordan will take home some decent points for Mercedes. P9, I think that's going to be 4 points. I want to say 4 points for Mercedes. MCR is going to be coming across the line in P10. He'll be the last finishers. Major Falcon now picking up 2 points for Alpine. MCR picking up 3 points for Alpine. So not a race you would really look forward to watching back. But I'm sure Ryan B is going to be satisfied with that result at the end of the day.
Yeah, I can confirm that was Maverick's 3rd win of the season and his 8th podium of the season. So he's been consistent. Maverick's been the same, apart from I'd say after Austria is when it started to go downhill a bit for him, and he's going to be kicking himself after this race because I don't think it's more annoying when you have no one to blame. And trust me, we know that as much as I do because I try to blame anything and everything but myself. When you know you've messed up, there's nothing more frustrating. And now it's down to Ryan to not mess up. This is Ryan's season championship to win now, and Maverick just has to hope that Ryan doesn't keep a cool head.
Yeah, he's going to have to hope for Ryan B mistakes, and it has to be almost faultless through the last 5 races of the season. There are some difficult tracks coming up on the calendar as well. But yeah, here we go. Ryan B will take, he will take the win, and he's also going to take fastest lap in the end there as well. So he's going to be taking home the 26 points as well, which is going to, cripple Maverick even more there. Marty's going to take second place for Ferrari, and then Noah J on the podium. We can get all 3 of those guys into the interviews just a little bit. McDutchface, Iverman, Mike Goldie, Cam K, United Bosnia, Ariel Jordan, MCR, and Major Falcon will be the 11 finishers in this race. Alt Maverick, Ben Gallagher, Slayer, Sunkan could unfortunately not finish the race, or not finish all 27 laps there. And that's it from Monza there. And I don't want to say we got a surprise winner, but Ryan B, I didn't pick him to win this race, especially in the wet at Monza on a pad.
Yeah, a pad track. Well, pad driver on a wheel track. Hopefully I can replicate that, but it is my worst track on the season, every single season, so if I finish the race, I'll be happy. I'll say that.
Well, I just watched QVR Verstappen get a second place in D1 at Monza in a dry race, so I don't entirely know what's all possible anymore. So, yeah, let's get the drivers in for interviews, so we can finish off this stream and head towards Division 2, which is definitely going to be fun for both of us. So, let's get these guys in here. Where is Ryan B? All right. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I don't think anyone heard that, to be fair, so... Alright, let's add the players. And we can get them in here. And, first person to join the party is CPI Noah J. So I guess we can kick off the interview with our third place finisher. So, Noah, I want to say it's your 4th race here in Division 4. And picking up your first podium of the season after the break week. How do you feel after that race?
Was that? I'm sorry, I didn't hear who was the question.
For Noah.
Okay.
Yeah, so obviously a decent result for you and for Haas. You were able to keep it on the track, which some drivers were unable to do. So yeah, a decent result for you in the end, able to capitalize on mistakes from other drivers. So yeah, congrats on your result. Jack, do you have any questions for our third place finisher?
No, it's mainly just a congrats, because obviously you started, when you joined, you had a few, probably not the most ideal start you'd want to the season. And out of nowhere, I don't know if Monza's like one of your favourite tracks or anything, but you suddenly showed this pace that you've not had so far, and hopefully it can carry on.
We can move on to second place now. So, Marty, obviously second place, your third podium in 3 races. second place is another decent result for you. I think that's going to propel you up to 5th in the driver standings. So another good result for you this weekend. But what were you thinking when you saw Alt Maverick fly off the track at turn 2 there late on?
Yeah, I was not happy actually, because actually I want him to win the driver championship, and yeah, also for the construction. No, that's not great, but that happens. Actually, the lap when he spun, I saw it, and the next 2 laps I got very dangerous snaps of the rear, almost lost it too there.
So, yeah, obviously it's very difficult to keep it on track at Monza, especially through those first few corners. So, yeah, congrats on your second place, Jack. Do you have any? Well, there isn't much to ask about it, but Jack, do you have any questions for Marty?
Well, with Marty, I was going to say we were wondering in the race. We were discussing just before Maverick went off. Obviously, you said that you want him to win the championship. Whether or not you were going to drop back out the 5 seconds, so he'd keep second place, because obviously it'd still keep the constructors. Going into the last 5, are you which there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. You won't get in trouble, because that's, if you're on his team, you're allowed to do it. Into the last 5 races now, are you still focused on beating them to get the win yourself, or is it going to become a team effort to try help Maverick win?
Actually, I never thought of that idea. I'm really not lying. For the dropping back 5 seconds. What was the other part of the question, actually?
Well, we'll say mathematically at the moment, it looks very possible that you could maybe get 3rd in the championship.
Yeah. Actually, I don't think I'm gonna make it on the top. I want P3. If I can secure a P3, that will be the max I think I can get. There has to be some crazy, crashes between Ryan and Maverick so that I can get on top P1. But even then, I have to win at every race until the rest of the season. I don't think that's gonna happen. And also, it has them to crash both so that I can get on top, which is unlikely.
So what you're saying is you're purposely going to crash into Ryan to help Maverick win the title? Unreal.
No.
We've got that on stream, Maverick, yeah?
No, I don't drive like that.
Well, yeah, congrats on your second place, Marty, and good luck for Imola next week. And we now can move on to our race winner and our new championship leader, Ryan B. It looked pretty easy for you out there after that second pit stop. Was it really?
Yeah. Wet weather.
That microphone, though.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. As soon as I got the lead, it was easy sailing. Just chill out and don't make any mistakes like some people.
The shots are being fired. All right, already.
Oh, if you're going to be salty in the chat afterwards, you deserve it. So.
Right then, Ryan B.
So how have you coached this man, Jack? Come on.
Look, I tried to get him relentless, but for some reason it's not going. I'm fuming. Right. So you got 5 races left.
Yeah.
How many of them are you? Because obviously now you can. You're not going to win every race, or if you do, fair play to you. But more than likely you're not going to, because Maverick at the end of the day is very fast. We've got people like I'd say Falcon when he turns up. Obviously, out of nowhere, Marty's decided to be a D2 driver. So going into these last 5 races of the season,
yeah,
all you have to do is not make a mistake. Are you confident you can drive at say 80% and still pull out enough points to win now?
Yeah, that's what I've been doing all season. So
all season,
he has to push. I don't.
Yeah, Britain, yeah, and Belgium, and Austria.
No, Belgium. I got taken out. That wasn't me. Austria was my own fault.
Well, I hope you keep it up. I mean, selfishly, I hope you DNF one of the races, because this title fight has been really, really fun. And it'd be great for us to be able to see it come down to Brazil. But, obviously, you won't be wanting that. Seeing both Ferraris at the top. Have you been worried at all that there's going to be some team play to hold you back? Like, I've thought a few times Marty would do the job to help out Maverick, but luckily for you, it just seems like Marty's proving a point and just going for the win himself.
Yeah, I mean, so he should. It's if Maverick's not fast enough to beat him, then Marty should.
Wrap it up. Wrap it up. Unreal.
Well, thank you for the interview. Congrats on your first place in your recapture of the lead of the championship, as well as Mercedes closing down on Ferrari in the constructors' standings. I believe I want to say it's 5 or 4 points between the two teams. But yeah, once again, congratulations and good luck for the next race, which is going to be Imola in a week's time at the same exact time, 6:30 BST, I want to say. So, yeah, I look forward to the Division 4, Division 1, and Division 3 streams all at the same time next week. And then as well as you can watch myself and Jack race in about 19 minutes for Division 2, right around when Mexico qualifying is going to be heading into Q1. So, yeah, go watch me and Jack die over some curbs as well. So, but anyways, thank you from myself and from Jack, and that's been all, folks.